Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon when you are watching this video lecture. In the earlier session, we discussed about some of the problems related to ratio analysis, application of various ratios in solving the problems, mostly wherein the financial information in the form of financial statements or summarized financial statements was given, and we were asked to calculate few ratios, which we have done. Now let us continue solving some more problems related to ratio analysis. One of the questions, though it is MCQ question, it can be even a small question like a filler for normal type of problems also. Look at this 14th question in ICA material. What we are required to calculate is operating expenses from the information that is given. Sales 75 lakhs, rate of income tax is 50%, net profit to sales is 5%, cost of goods sold is 32 lakhs 90,000 rupees, interest on debentures is 60,000 rupees. What is required is operating expenses. So first of all, we should know the relationship and we should know the link between each of them. Simply speaking, sales, whatever it is, from that, if you reduce the cost of goods sold, what you will get is gross profit. From that, if you reduce operating expenses, what you get is EBIT. From that, if you reduce interest, what you get is earnings before tax. From that, if you reduce tax, what you will get is profit after tax or net profit. Information will not be given straightforward. We should be filling the data where we know it, and we have to obtain the data what we don't know. It is the same common formula or common methodology that we have to use for solving any type of questions like this. Sales is given, that is okay, 75 lakhs, fine. Cost of goods sold is also given, that is 32 lakhs 90,000. That is also given. So simply gross profit is known. How much will be gross profit? Calculate that. 75 lakhs minus 32 lakhs 90,000 will be 42 lakhs 10,000 is gross profit. But we don't want that. From that, we need to deduct something which is operating expenses. That's what we are supposed to find out. In turn, that will give us EBIT. From that, we have to reduce interest. That we know. Interest is given as 60,000. That will give us EBT. From that, tax has to be deducted. That also we don't know, which will give us net profit. But net profit to sales ratio is given. That is 5%. So net profit directly is given. Sales 75 lakhs. 5% of that will be net profit. 3 lakhs 75,000. So we have to do the reverse calculation now. When net profit is 3 lakhs 75,000, how much would be tax? When the rate of income tax is 50%, obviously that also will be 3 lakhs 75,000. Then how much will be profit before tax? That will be naturally 7 lakhs 50,000. Then how much would have been EBIT? 750 plus 60, reverse calculation, 8 lakhs 10,000. Then how much would be operating expenses? That is a balancing figure. So 8 lakhs 10,000 and 42 lakhs 10,000, the difference is 34 lakhs. So the correct answer in this case will be C. Though it is MCQ, directly it can be asked also. A small 2 to 3 marks question can be asked like this. So that is one of the questions where computations were required. Now let us move on to some more questions given at the end of the chapter in the ICA material. The total sales, all credit sales of the firm are 6 lakhs 40,000. All are credit sales. And it has a gross profit margin of 15% and a current ratio of 2.5. Current ratio. Current liabilities are 96,000. Inventories are 48,000. Cash is 16,000. What is required is, first point, determine the average inventory to be carried by the firm if an inventory turnover of 5 times is expected, assuming 360 days a year. So inventory turnover ratio is given. We are supposed to calculate average inventory. That is first question. Second question, determine the average collection period. If the opening balance of debtors is intended to be 80,000, again assuming 360 days a year. So it is a kind of question wherein some data is given, some formula are also given, some ratios are already given, and we are supposed to find out some other missing data. So it's not a straightforward question of financial information will be given, ratios will be asked, like we did in the earlier session. That is a one type of one category of questions that also can be expected. These type of questions are more popular, wherein you have to do the reverse calculations, wherein from the ratios you have to find out data. You have to find out something that is asked in the question. For that purpose, main point here once again is knowing the formula for ratio and understanding relationship between various items. So first of all, sales is given as 6,40,000 and gross profit margin of 15% is told. So first of all, immediately what we can say is how much will be gross profit. These are all working notes. One by one first we have to do. Then finally the answer will come. Answer will not come directly. So in the ratio analysis solutions, most of the times you will take a lot of working notes, then final answer will come. Doesn't matter. Ultimately, answer has to be clear, and for that purpose, whatever calculations we are doing, they have to be shown. So 6,40,000 multiplied with 15%. So gross profit is definitely 96,000. Okay. When 96,000 is the gross profit, how much will be cost of goods sold? Cost of goods sold is nothing but difference between sales and gross profit. Or otherwise also you can directly calculate. If 15% is gross profit margin, cost of goods sold ratio will be 85%. So how much will be cost of goods sold? That will be automatically 5,44,000. By taking 6,40,000 minus of 96,000 or directly 6,40,000 into 85%. Either way, you will get a cost of goods sold of 5,44,000. Now, inventory turnover ratio is given already. What is inventory turnover ratio? Formula, cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. This first we should know, average stock or average inventory. That is given as 5 times. And what is asked here? What is asked is average inventory. Automatically, how to get average inventory or average stock? That will be cost of goods sold divided by 5. And cost of goods sold we already know, that is 5,44,000 divided by 5 means how much is going to be average inventory? 1,08,800. That is average inventory. Answer for A bit. That's it. That is the average inventory. Cost of goods sold by average stock is 5. Once you know the cost of goods sold already, average stock can be easily found out by using the formula 1,08,800 is the average stock. Then second bit, B bit, is finding out average collection period. Collection period is nothing but a debt collection period, or we can call it debtors velocity, and we know that it has to be calculated by using the formula 360 divided by debtors turnover ratio. That is the formula. First we should write that. Then we also should know what is the formula for debtors turnover ratio. What will be that? That is nothing but net credit sales divided by average debtors. That is debtors turnover ratio. Credit sales is known because it was mentioned that all sales are on credit basis. Total sales are 6,40,000. So substitute it here in the numerator. 6,40,000 numerator is known. But the question comes once again. Average debtors, how should we know? Opening plus closing debtors divided by 2. But opening balance of debtors is given. That is 80,000. Closing balance of debtors is how much? That is not given. That has to be computed. How that can be computed? From the other information that is given. Look at the other information. Current ratio 2.5. Current liabilities 96,000. What is the formula for current ratio? Current ratio is equal to current assets divided by current liabilities. That means current assets will be current liabilities multiplied with current ratio automatically. Current liabilities are given 96,000 rupees multiplied with the current ratio of 2.5 times. How much will be current assets first of all? 96,000 into 2.5, that will be 2,40,000. That is current assets. But current assets include what? Debtors, inventories, cash normally. But here inventories are given and cash is given. Remaining will be naturally debtors. So 240 minus 48 minus 16, remaining will be debtors. That is how much? 1,76,000. That is the debtors, closing debtors naturally. That is 176,000. Because we know current assets and we know two of the current assets which are given, automatically the remaining current asset will be debtors, receivables. 1,76,000. When you know the closing debtors 1,76,000 and opening debtors 80,000, average debtors will be how much? That will be 1,28,000. Opening debtors plus closing debtors divided by 2. That's all. So we have now 640 divided by 128. Around 5 times is the debtors turnover ratio. But that is not the question. Question is average collection period. For that you just need to substitute here 360 divided by 5. That means 72 days. 72 days is the average collection period. That is the answer. So first question answer is 1,08,800. Second question answer is 72 days. Let's check the solutions whether matching or not. Yes. First question is 1,08,800 and second question is 72 days. Now, moving on to other question number 2. The capital structure of Beta Limited is as follows. Equity share capital of 10 rupees each is 8 lakhs rupees. See, immediately, we don't have to even look at question and all. Immediately our brain should process this. How many number of shares would have been there? Naturally, 80,000 number of shares would have been there when the face value of the shares is 10 rupees and total equity share capital is 8 lakhs. That has to be done automatically. Same way, preference share capital of 10 rupees each, 9% is there. Generally, number of preference shares is not required because EPS and all are not going to be generally based on preference. But still, the amount of preference share capital is 3 lakhs. Total of this is 11 lakhs. This is the shareholders' funds. Simply, this is two different sources of finance that Beta Limited has used. Additional information is given like this. Profit after tax at 35% is 2,70,000 rupees. Depreciation is 60,000 rupees. Equity dividend paid is 20%. 20% of what? 20% whenever it will be equity dividend, it will be considered as on the face value only. Market price of equity shares is 40 rupees. So that is the other information given. What is required is to compute the following various data or various things showing necessary workings, of course. First thing first, dividend yield on the equity shares. For that purpose, you should first write the formula. Then you should know what is the numerator, what is the denominator. Then automatically the answer will come. So what is the formula for dividend yield? Dividend yield is nothing but dividend per share divided by market price per share. You have to write full forms in the exam, by the way. Don't try to write any acronyms in the exams. Only for EPS you can do it. That also, if possible, if you write full form, that is advisable. But EPS is okay. That is normally a commonly used acronym. But other things should not be acronyms. They have to be fully abbreviated. Hence, dividend per share divided by market price per share. Like that you have to write. Market price per share we know. That is given in the question. How much? 40. Dividend per share is not directly given, but that can be found out. Because face value of each equity share is 10 rupees and dividend equity is 20% dividend. So 20% of 10 rupees is 2 rupees. So 2 divided by 40. Of course, yield is expressed as percentage. So 2 divided by 40 multiplied with 100. So what is the dividend yield here? 5%. That is the answer for first question. 5%. Workings have to be shown separately, carefully, elaborately. Second, cover for preference and equity dividends. In other words, dividend coverage ratio is asking for both equity also, preference also. First preference will come because preference shareholders have to be paid first. And profit after tax is 2,70,000. That is available to the preference shareholders. 2,70,000 is available to the preference shareholders for sure. That profit after tax, which is available to preference shareholders, divided by the preference dividend, it gives us preference dividend coverage ratio. How much will be preference dividend? 3 lakhs multiplied with 9%, that is 27,000. 3 lakhs multiplied with 9%, 27,000. So automatically preference dividend coverage ratio is how much now? 10 times. That's all. That is preference dividend coverage ratio. Equity dividend coverage ratio also can be calculated, but what is the profit available to equity shareholders? That is the profit which is after paying preference dividend also. 2,70,000 is after profit after tax, minus 27,000. Profit available to equity shareholders will be only 2,43,000. But how much was the equity dividend per share? That we know 2 rupees. Like that 80,000 shares are there. That means 1,60,000 rupees is the equity dividend. So what is the equity dividend coverage ratio? 240 divided by 1,60,000. That will be 1.52 times. 2 decimals are generally enough. 1.52 times. That is the equity dividend coverage ratio. Then earnings per share. Simple. Earnings available to equity shareholders. Already we calculated it. 243,000 divided by number of equity shares. That also we already calculated. 80,000. So 243 divided by 80,000. 3.04, let us say, approximately, per share. That is rupees. Rupees 3.04 is earnings per share. Then P ratio, price earnings ratio. Formula we should know. Price by earnings means market price per share divided by earnings per share. Market price per share is how much? 40. So 40 divided by 3.04. 40 divided by 3.04, that will come to approximately 13.16 times. That is P ratio. That's all. These are the answers for these 4 sub questions of question number 2. Let us check the answers. So first answer is 5%, that is dividend yield 5%. Then second answer, preference dividend coverage ratio is 10 times and equity dividend coverage ratio is 1.52 times. Then earnings per share 3.04. Then P ratio 13.16, 13.2 approximately, whatever it is. So that is the way to calculate various details as asked in the question from the information given in the question itself. That was question number 2. Now, question number 3 was a past examination question. Such questions can be very well expected for 10 marks. Very, very possible type of questions. Little longer ones, because what is required in this question, if you observe, you are supposed to prepare a summarized profit and loss account of the company also and balance sheet of the company also on 31st March 2020. So various ratios are given. If you observe the data, what is given right from the beginning. The following accounting information and financial ratios of PQR Limited are given for the year ended 31st March 2020. Gross profit is given as 15% of sales. That means gross profit margin, gross profit percentage, gross profit ratio is given. Net profit ratio is given as percentage of sales. Raw materials consumed is given as a percentage of works cost. That is also not an amount. Direct wages also is given as percentage of works cost. Stock of raw materials is given separately as a 3 months usage. Stock of finished goods is given as a percentage of works cost. Debt collection period is 60 days. All sales are on credit. If that is not given also, we have to actually assume that all sales are on credit. Otherwise, we cannot solve the questions. But it is clearly given all sales are on credit. But what is the data here? Is there any one particular amount that is given? No. All relationships only are given. Even financial ratios are given. Fixed assets to sales. That means fixed assets divided by sales. Then fixed assets divided by current assets. Then current ratio is given. Then long-term loans to current liabilities is given. Then capital to reserves and surplus is given. Again, all are ratios. So far in this entire information that is given, none of them is one amount which is expressed in rupees. So, all are ratios and relationships. One and only thing that is given is at the end of the question. If the value of fixed assets on 31st March 2019 amounted to 26 lakhs. Again here, it's not 2019, it can be considered as 2020 because all of the information is given on 31st March 2020, right? So that also has to be given on 31st March 2020. If it is 2019, it will not be consistent. So change this one as 2020. So value of the fixed assets is given. That is 26 lakhs. That is the only amount. From that, we have to break and we have to find out all the possible data, whatever we can find out. So first thing first, we have to start with the amount that is given in the amount form, that is fixed assets. So this is question number 3. First thing first, fixed assets are how much? Fixed assets are 26 lakhs. Okay. Where from we can start? Lot of data is given, Where from we can start? We can start with these two because the ratios are given for fixed assets with something else related to. So let us start with that. Numbering and all you can do according to the convenience in the examination. So working notes wise, whatever number of working notes you want to calculate, you can calculate. That's okay. So let us say working notes 1. Fixed assets to sales is equal to how much is that? 1 divided by 3. Exactly write it that like the same way what is given. That will be easier without any confusion. Then substitute what you know. 26 lakhs divided by sales is equal to 1 divided by 3. Naturally, how much will be sales? When sales goes to this side, this goes to that side. That is called cross multiplication. You should simply know that. So how much will be sales? 26 lakhs multiplied with 3. That means 78 lakhs rupees is sales. That is the first thing that we calculated in working notes 1. Sales is 78 lakhs. Which will be useful. Just keep it aside. Don't do this rounding and all. For presentation purposes, I am only rounding it for your attention. Just leave it like that. Or just use double lines if you want to highlight it. Otherwise, you can just leave it like that. Anyway. Then, fixed assets to current assets is also given. So we can use that also. Let us just use it. Fixed assets to current assets is equal to 13 divided by 11. Again, substitute fixed assets 26 lakhs divided by current assets is equal to 13 divided by 11. Then how much will be current assets? Current assets goes to that side. 13 by 11 becomes 11 by 13 if it comes to the other side. So 11 by 13 of 26 lakhs. So how much is going to be the current assets? 26 lakhs into 11 divided by 13 means 22 lakhs is current assets. So one more thing we have. What is that? Current assets we have. 22 lakhs. Then, actually a lot of other things can be found out because we have got sales now. Sales, once you know, a lot of information is related to sales if you see. Look at the other things like gross profit is given as 15% of sales. So gross profit is 15% of 78 lakhs. So 78 lakhs multiplied with 15%. So 78 lakhs multiplied with 15% will be 11 lakhs 70,000. That is gross profit. That is gross profit. 11 lakhs 70,000. That automatically means how much will be cost of goods sold. And in this case, this is the only point actually which has to be very closely observed. He has given this word works cost. What is this works cost? We are not preparing any cost sheet here and all. What is the meaning of it in our sense, that we have to identify. Works cost here is nothing but cost of goods sold, as good as, because that is the difference between sales and gross profit. Sales and gross profit is all direct costs, right? All direct costs are all part of works cost. So once you have the gross profit 11,70,000, automatically we can also find out works cost. So how much will be works cost? Sales minus gross profit. There is no other items. If there are any other direct expenses given, something like that, we can say they are there. Nothing is there. So automatically the difference between the gross profit and the sales is supposed to be works cost, which will naturally consist of raw materials consumed and direct wages, also some direct expenses, which we don't know how much are those direct expenses. So what is going to be the total of works cost? Raw material consumed plus direct wages plus direct expenses. When that is what is works cost, that itself is the cost of goods sold also, because the difference between these two after computation of the gross profit and sales, that will be considered to be works cost. So here, how much is that? As we already calculated, sales, which is 78 lakhs, and gross profit, that is 11,70,000. So we can say works cost is 66 lakhs 30,000. 66 lakhs 30,000. Okay. Of course, if the opening stock of finished goods is given, if it is given, then at least we can adjust the closing stock of finished goods and opening stock of finished goods also in order to get the cost of goods sold. Since that is not there, we don't have any other option but to take this 66 lakhs 30,000 rupees as works cost. That itself is this difference between sales and cost of goods sold. Now we can find out other things also. One thing is net profit, that can be found out. Net profit will be how much? 8% of sales. So 78 lakhs is already there. On that, 8% means 6 lakhs 24,000 is considered to be net profit. Simple. Then raw materials consumed can be calculated also from the information given only. One by one we have to break it. Where the chain should start to be broken, that is important. In this question it was clear, because only when one information is given about fixed assets, that is the only place where we can break the chain. Afterwards all the other things will automatically get broken one by one depending upon the relationship that is given in the question. Now raw material consumed is 20% of works cost. 20%. Works cost we already know, 66 lakhs 30,000. On that 20% means raw material consumed will be 13 lakhs 26,000. That is raw material consumed. Then direct wages is given as 10% of works cost. So direct wages or direct labor, 10% of works cost will be naturally 6 lakhs 63,000. That is direct wages. This is also known. Then stock of raw materials. Stock of raw materials is given as 3 months usage. See, 13 lakhs 26,000 is the usage, raw material consumed for the entire year. So how much will be the stock of raw material? 3 months usage means 13 lakhs 26,000 is for entire year. How much will be for 3 months? Multiplied with 3 by 12. So 1326 into 3 by 12. That will be 3,31,500. That is raw materials stock. Then finished goods stock is 6% of works cost. Stock of finished goods. 6% of works cost, he says. 66,30,000 into 6%. That is 3,97,800. See, ideally, this question should have been given as this 20% of this should be given as cost of goods sold. That is ideal. But it was given as works cost. So we are taking works cost itself as cost of goods sold. What will be the difference? Difference will be stocks only. Since opening stock of finished goods is not given, even with only closing stock of finished goods, we cannot do anything. So only one way of assuming is opening stock of finished goods and closing stock of finished goods is equal. In that case, there will not be difference between works cost and cost of goods sold. That is the only way we have to look at. Since opening stock of finished goods is not there, no information is given about that also. So automatically what does it mean is opening stock and closing stock of finished goods is same. If it is same, whatever is the cost of the goods produced, in this case works cost, or cost of the goods sold, both will be same, no difference. So that is an inherent assumption that has to be taken here. So that is stock of finished goods 397,800. Then debt collection period is given as 60 days. So let us take it so that we can understand what will be the use of that. So first of all, from that what we can find out is debtors turnover ratio. How much is debtors turnover ratio, that we can find out. Debtors turnover ratio will be how much? When debt collection period is 60 days, that itself is 360 divided by debtors turnover ratio. That means debtors turnover ratio will be 360 divided by 60. That means debtors turnover ratio is going to be 6 times. That is one information that we can draw from debt collection period. Debtors and all, will come to that. Anyway, this is the information that we have used so far. Each of them has been already used. Gross profit, net profit, raw material consumed, direct wages, stock of raw material, stock of finished goods, debt collection period. All of them are used already, and all sales are uncredited is a basic assumption. Fixed assets to sales ratio was used, with which we found out sales, and we already found out current assets also. Now the time has come to extend this. Now, certainly we have to take this forward and find out and use other information also which is available. So tenth information or in whatever the working note, whatever numbers it is, doesn't matter, 25, 50 also you do, doesn't matter, ultimately answer should come. What is that we are going to calculate here and use what information is current ratio 2:1. Current ratio formula we know that current assets divided by current liabilities, that is equal to 2, right? That automatically means current liabilities is equal to current assets divided by 2, and we know current assets already. How much was current assets? 22 lakhs. We only calculated that. So 22 lakhs divided by 2 will be 11 lakhs. So we have another information, that is current liabilities, that is going to be 11 lakhs. One more information we cracked. Then long-term loans to current liabilities is 2:1, he says. Long-term loans to current liabilities is 2:1. That means long-term loans will be how much? 2 times the current liabilities, naturally, which will be 22 lakhs. That is one more information. That is also broken. Then capital to reserves and surplus 1:4 is given. We have not reached at that stage. How much is capital, how much is reserves and surplus? That stage of balance sheet we have not yet reached. So we have to use this after we reach to that stage. But now definitely in the balance sheet we should certainly have various things. We know in the balance sheet fixed assets, which is already given as 26 lakhs. We know total of current assets, that is 22 lakhs. You may say that, okay, we know fixed assets, current assets, I will write that. No, you have to write as many details as possible, then only you will get full marks. You are not going to just say, okay, this is P&L account, sales, net profit, remaining is all expenses. No, not like that. As detailed as possible, you have to prepare everything. For that purpose, we need to know the breakup of the current assets also. What is the breakup of separate current assets? That can be found out as well here. How is that possible? First thing first, we can use debtors turnover ratio to find out debtors. We know debtors turnover ratio is 6 times. And what is the formula for debtors turnover ratio? Sales, credit sales divided by average debtors. See, average and all, it's not possible. Just debtors in this case, because only one balance sheet data is available. Credit sales by debtors is how much? We know that that is debtors turnover ratio. We only calculated that 6 times, right? Then how much will be debtors naturally? Credit sales by 6. How much are credit sales? All sales are on credit. How much are sales? That we know already, 78 lakhs. 78 lakhs divided by 6. That is debtors. So 78 lakhs divided by 6 is how much? 13 lakhs is going to be the debtors. That is debtors. So one of the current assets we got. Other current assets we already know. What other current assets will be there? Inventories will be there. Inventories will be generally what? Forget about work in progress and all. So the moment if you bring work in progress in this question, you will never be able to solve that. We cannot do that. There's not given anything about work in progress. So forget about it. What are the inventories here? Stock of raw materials and stock of finished goods are there. That is inventories, right? But both of them are known. So what is the total of them? 331,500 plus 397,800. Total of inventories will be how much? That itself is inventory. Stock of raw materials and stock of finished goods. What else will be there? Work in progress will be there, but nothing is mentioned about it, so we don't have to worry about work in progress. 729,300 is total of inventory. 7,29,300. How? Stock of raw materials 331,500 and stock of finished goods 397,800. So 729,300 is what? This is inventories put together. Both are called inventories put together. Then what else will be there? You have debtors, you have inventories. Naturally, how much will be there? What will be the remaining? Cash and bank balances. That is the balancing figure of current assets. Total current assets we know. That was 22 lakhs. Total current assets we already calculated. 22 lakhs. So 22 lakhs minus 13 lakhs minus 729,300 will give you 1,70,700 as cash and bank balances. So we have everything under the current assets also. Almost asset side of the balance sheet is clear now. We have fixed assets. We have separately current assets also. How much is debtors we know. How much is the stock of raw materials, stock of finished goods, cash and bank balances. Total of all this we know. And on the liability side, long-term loans, we know that. Current liabilities, we know that. Remaining will be what? Naturally, that is going to be the reserves and surplus and capital. That is where the ratio of capital to reserves and surplus will be useful. That will come to it later. But what is asked here finally is summarized profit and loss account and summarized balance sheet is what is asked. We can prepare one by one since we have all the information except capital to reserves and surplus that is not yet used, that we can use only after reaching to the balance sheet level. But prior to that, let us prepare summarized profit and loss account by sales. First thing first, how much was that? 78 lakhs. Sales was 78 lakhs. Sorry. Works cost was 66 lakhs 30,000. But within that, raw materials consumed, direct wages we know. So raw materials consumed first of all is directly one of the costs. So to raw materials consumed 13 lakhs 26,000. 2. Direct wages 6 lakhs 63,000. Gross profit is already known. Gross profit from this we can call it as trading and profit and loss account. That's okay. Gross profit is how much? Gross profit is 11 lakh 70,000. 11 lakh 70,000. So naturally, what will be the remaining? That will be direct expenses. Direct expenses will be the balancing figure. So how much will that be? 78 lakhs minus 11 lakh 70,000 is works cost. Within that 13 lakhs 26,000 is raw material consumed. 6 lakhs 63,000 is direct wages, which means 46 lakhs 41,000 is the direct expenses, and you should write clearly this is balancing figure. Total has to be written 78 lakhs. And by the way, as we assumed earlier already, to opening stock of finished goods by closing stock of finished goods will be same. It has to be same since opening stock is not given. Then raw material consumed is already after adjustment of raw materials stock. So you don't have to worry about the stock of or closing stock of raw materials at all. Already it is raw materials consumed. Only problem, if at all thought process wise will come, is finished goods stock is there, right? So we have to write by closing stock. No need. Why? Because already we have taken an assumption that opening stock of finished goods and closing stock of finished goods is same. Or if you want to write to opening stock same amount, by closing stock same amount, it's okay. So why that assumption was required to be taken? Since works cost is given and nothing is mentioned about opening stock of finished goods. So that is the problem. If the opening stock of finished goods was given separately, then we would have done differently. Then we would have derived this direct expenses after taking into consideration the opening stock of finished goods also. That is the different way of doing it. If that information is there, since it is not there, we can't help it. That is how it is. So now total of 78 lakhs is there on the both sides. Now by gross profit, it goes to the P&L account as usual, simple routine accounting presentation. Then gross profit is known. Net profit is also already known. How much was net profit? That we calculated already. 6 lakhs 24,000. 6 lakhs 24,000. So 1170 naturally will be the total of this. What will be the balancing figure normally? That is indirect expenses. All the other expenses like administration, selling and distribution expenses, we don't know any of them. So that is the balancing figure all put together. How much could that be? 5 lakhs 46,000. This is also a balancing figure. You should clearly write it. Balancing figure 546,000. That is the summarized P&L account. Done. Now summarized balance sheet. In summarized balance sheet, we have fixed assets and current assets. Within that, we have receivables, inventories, cash. Inventories also, if you want to show separately raw materials and finished goods, you can show that. Otherwise, you can leave it also, because anyway we calculated them already. We know that total already. So what is the fixed assets that was given in the question itself? Actually, that was 26 lakhs. Start with that. 26 lakhs. Within current assets, receivables how much? We only calculated debtors 13 lakhs. Inventories how much? We only calculated 729,300 put together. Cash how much? That also we calculated as balancing figure of current assets 170,700. So total of current assets will be naturally how much? That only we only calculated. So just for checking purposes. 17700. Total should be naturally 22 lakhs. What else will be there on the asset side? Nothing. Current assets, fixed assets, that's all will be there on the asset side. So what is the total of balance sheet? Very clearly, that is 48 lakhs. That is total assets. That will be same here also. 48 lakhs for sure, guaranteed. But here, we know current liabilities already. On the liabilities and equity side of balance sheet, we have calculated them. How much was that? 11 lakhs. That is why everything, whatever we calculated and kept it separately, now it is going to be useful. Current liabilities 11 lakhs. Okay, current liabilities 11 lakhs. Then what? Long-term liabilities are 22 lakhs. That also was calculated. So long-term liabilities are 22 lakhs. But these are all liabilities. These are all liabilities separately. But what was given separately is remaining will be the capital. So the capital to reserves and surplus is 1:4 is mentioned. So what will be this capital or shareholders funds, whatever we call it? In this case, there will be capital and there will be reserves and surplus. The ratio between them is given as 1:4. How much is that? Put together, that we can find out. Now let us do that working note separately. How much will be the total of the owner's funds, let us call it. Owner's funds will be how much? 48 lakhs is the total of assets. Naturally, it will be total of liabilities also. Equity and liabilities also. Minus 22 lakhs long-term liabilities. Minus 11 lakhs short-term liabilities or current liabilities. So naturally, the owner's funds are 15 lakhs. Within this only, there will be some portion is capital, some portion is reserves and surplus. How much is that? Simple. Divide that into 1:4. That is capital to reserves and surplus is 1:4. So capital divided by reserves and surplus is equal to 1/4. Do it on paper. Don't just jump to the conclusions. So naturally, capital will be how much? Or you can say reserves and surplus will be how much? Easier way is that. Reserves and surplus will be how much? 4 times of capital. Reserves and surplus are 4 times of capital. But what we know 15 lakhs is capital plus reserves and surplus. That is 15 lakhs. Now substitute. Capital is capital. Reserves and surplus is 4 times of capital. So that is 5C. Then C is how much? 15 lakhs divided by 5. That will be 3 lakhs. Naturally, how much will be reserves and surplus? 12 lakhs. That's all. We got our balance sheet. 3 lakhs capital, reserves and surplus 12 lakhs. Total owners funds 15 lakhs. Balance sheet total is 48 lakhs. There ends the matter. That is the answer. Right? Now, we can just check the answers with the final answers with the solutions. Okay. Here they have taken 365 days and naturally the amounts are all messed up, you see. It will be like that. Better not to do that. We better take 360 days. Automatically things will be easier. Anyway, we have this P&L account. Look at it. Sales same. Direct materials, direct wages. How much is the work? So overheads, or you can call it direct expenses, whatever it is. That will be 46 lakhs 41,000. That is same amount. Balancing figure that is. How much are going to be administration, selling and distribution expenses? We can call them as indirect expenses. Easier to say direct expense, indirect expenses. So indirect expenses will be 5 lakh 46,000, which are office and distribution expenses. Indirect does not mean they are not just related. They are just related to only. They are not related to manufacture. It means other than that, manufacturing with these things are all coming. Anyway, this is office admin and selling and distribution expenses. You can call them. All of them are 5 lakhs 46,000. Same thing. Net profit 6 lakhs 24,000. Total is 1170. Same. That is a summarized P&L account. Coming to the balance sheet, fixed assets 26 lakhs. That is okay. Current assets receivables, they have messed it up. Why? Because they have taken unnecessarily 365 days, because of which they got 12 lakhs 82,192 something. We got a better amount, that is simply 13 lakhs. So cash balance automatically, since it is a balancing figure, that also has changed. I would say this is better because, as I told earlier, unless otherwise stated in the financial management, you better take 360 days rather than 365 days. And that makes calculations simpler also, as we can very easily see. All round figures have come. So 48 lakhs is the total of asset side of the balance sheet. Only change here will be cash balance and receivables balance. Then coming to the other two things, long-term loans, current liabilities are there already, 22 lakhs, 11 lakhs. Then capital and reserves and surplus also, these two are 3 lakhs and 12 lakhs. That's it. That is a balance sheet, summarized balance sheet as on 31st March 2020. So other presentational issues you have to take care of. You have to write proper headings and company name. All those things have to be very clearly mentioned. Computations have to be clearly shown. So that is a 10 marks question. 10 marks can be obtained. Full of them can be obtained only and only if you present it well, only and only if you show all the calculations, and if you write the formulae first before substituting the numbers. These are the key precautions to be taken while solving the questions related to ratio analysis. Now, let's move on to another question. That is question number 4. Ganpati Limited has furnished the following ratios and information relating to the year ended 31st March 2020. Sales is given already, 60 lakhs. Return on net worth is given. Rate of income tax is given. Share capital to reserves is given. Current ratio is given. Net profit to sales is given. Inventory turnover based on cost of goods sold, which is normal. So for just clearing it without any ambiguity, it's clearly mentioned that inventory turnover is 12 times. Cost of goods sold is 18 lakhs rupees. Interest on debentures is 60,000 rupees. Receivables is 2 lakhs rupees. Payables is 2 lakhs rupees. First thing first, we are required to calculate the operating expenses for the year ended 31st March 2020. Second thing is, we have to prepare balance sheet as on 31st March in the following format. See, we don't have to break our heads what items should be there in balance sheet. Everything is given. Format is given already. How much are fixed assets, how much are each of the current assets. These have to be just filled, one way we can say. And before that, we have to find out operating expenses also. Operating expenses are also supposed to be found out. Anyway, we cannot get the answers directly. That is never possible. So for that, we have to break the information that is given in the question, first of all. So whatever is given, from that we have to one by one get to know the missing data. We'll have to do that. So let us do this question number 4. First, sales is given as 60 lakhs. Then return on net worth itself is given. We cannot use it now directly, not possible. Rate of income tax also we cannot use it now. Share capital to reserves we cannot use it now. Current ratio we cannot use it with sales. But net profit to sales ratio we can use. So how much is net profit, that we can find out. Net profit is how much? That is mentioned as 6.25% of sales. So 60 lakhs multiplied with 6.25% means net profit is 3,75,000. That is first thing. And same way, like we did in one of the MCQs just at the beginning of this session, we can fill the information separately, one by one. Then cost of goods sold is known. When this is known, when interest is known, easily we can find out operating expenses. How? Backward calculation. Sales minus cost of goods sold is gross profit. Sales is 60 lakhs. Cost of goods sold is given already as 18 lakhs. So naturally 42 lakhs will be gross profit. From that, operating expenses have to be deducted, which is what we don't know. We don't know that. But if you deduct that, what you get is EBIT. From that, if you deduct interest, what you get is EBT. From that, if you deduct tax, what you get is net profit. But net profit, we know that was 3,75,000. So I think incidentally the amount is also same. And tax rate you have to check. You cannot assume it. You have to check here 50%. So how much would be tax? Naturally same amount. 50% tax means EBT should be 750. Then only half of that is tax, half of that is net profit. So 375,000 multiplied with 2, that is 7,50,000 is earnings before tax. Interest how much? That is also given 60,000. That means automatically how much will be the EBIT? EBIT will be how much? 750 plus 60, that is 8 lakhs 10,000. That means automatically how much will be the operating expenses? That is 33 lakhs 90,000. Reverse calculation. So this is the answer. 33 lakhs 90,000 is going to be the operating expenditure in the fourth question. That is the answer. Presentation wise, you can show reverse way, starting with net profit, add income tax, you will get PBT, the profit before tax, add interest, you will get EBIT. Then when you know sales and cost of goods sold, the difference is gross profit. Difference between gross profit and EBIT is naturally the operating expenses. So 33 lakhs 90,000 is the answer for A bit of this question. Now, also what was asked is balance sheet. Balance sheet, not according to our whims and fancies. It has to be prepared in the same format whatever is given in the question. Let us fill it to the extent what we know. First of all, payables is given already. Why do you worry about it? Fill it straight away. 2 lakhs payables, easy, done. Receivables is also given 2 lakhs. Okay, good. 2 lakhs receivables. Fill it. Don't fill it in the question paper. Huh? Just you have to write the format and then fill it. So 2 lakhs receivables. Interest on debentures 60,000, but these are 15% debentures. Indirectly, can we know how much are debentures? Naturally, yes. 60,000 is representing 15% means how much will be the debentures? 4 lakhs. For that, you can show a working note separately. 60,000 multiplied with 100 by 15. 4 lakhs is debentures. That is known. Next, inventory turnover based on cost of goods sold is given as 12 times. Of course, we cannot take average stock and all that since we don't know about opening stock. So, what is inventory turnover ratio? Normally speaking, cost of goods sold by stock. Cost of goods sold is how much? That is known already, 18 lakhs. So, when you say cost of goods sold divided by stock is how many times? 12 times. How much will be stock? Cost of goods sold divided by 12 times. So 18 lakhs divided by 12. Naturally, inventories here, stock will be 1,50,000 rupees. That is one more working note. You can write separately, show the calculations clearly. So that we know. Next, we can come to know about current ratio is 2 times. See, when current ratio is 2 times, are there any other current liabilities other than payables? Nothing. That is only current liability. So when current ratio is 2 times, current ratio is 2 times means what? Current assets divided by current liabilities is 2 times. In other words, current assets is equal to 2 times of current liabilities. Current liabilities is only one thing, that is 2 lakhs. That means current assets will be naturally 4 lakhs. In that, we know 2 already. Stock 1,50,000, receivables 2 lakhs. Naturally, what will be the balancing figure of current assets? 4 lakhs minus 3,50,000. So cash is how much now? That is 50,000. That is also known. So current assets total is 4 lakhs and stock 150, receivables 2 lakhs. These are all the things that we know already. Now what else is required? We need fixed assets, we don't know them. Also, we need share capital separately and reserves also separately. But one thing we can easily find out is here, put together share capital and reserves and surplus, what we call that? That is net worth. And return on net worth is given as 25%. So when the return on net worth is given as 25%, return on net worth means what? On the net worth is only on the shareholders' funds. So the return we have to take return on equity basically. That is return on equity only. So 3,75,000 divided by net worth, whatever it is how much? 25%, means 0.25. That means how much is net worth? 3,75,000 divided by 0.25. 25% decimals wise, it is 0.25. So 375 divided by 0.25, that will be 15 lakhs. So for sure, the total of this share capital and reserves and surplus, the total of them is 15 lakhs. That is clear. But in between them, how much they are, that we don't know. For that purpose, this is useful. Share capital to reserves is 7:3. Once again, share capital by reserves is equal to 7 divided by 3. So take this very carefully. If at all we want to take any of them, let us say how much will be share capital. That will be 7 by 3 of reserves. Or you can just say that total, if it is 10, is a simple way. If total is 10, 7 by 3 means share capital is 7, reserves is 3. That's all. If total is 15 lakhs, how much will be share capital and how much will be reserves? That way it is easy. So 15 lakhs divided by 10 into 7, that is 10 lakhs 50,000, 10.5 lakhs. And remaining 4.5 lakhs is reserves. So the share capital to reserves and surplus was 7 divided by 3. So just the total of them is 15 lakhs. You can just distribute them in 7:3 ratio. That is 10 lakh 50,000 and 4 lakhs 50,000. Or alternatively, you can just substitute all these things. So share capital plus reserves and surplus is 15 lakhs. So 7 by 3 R plus R is equal to 15 lakhs. How much will be R? So 1 plus 7 by 3. 1 plus 7 by 3 R is equal to 15 lakhs. So how much will be R? 15 lakhs divided by 15 lakhs. Yeah, is equal to 15 lakhs. So 15 lakhs divided by 3.33333, whatever you take it, approximately it comes to same thing as 4,50,000. So we don't need to do all that. We can save time by just distributing the total 15 lakhs. Because among them the ratio is 7:3. Total is 10. That 10 is represented by 15 lakhs. How much will 7 represent? How much will 3 represent? Naturally 10,50,000 and 4,50,000. So we can fill that also from the information. 10,50,000, 4,50,000. Total net worth is 15 lakhs. That is clear. Now what is the total of balance sheet? So we can easily find out the total of the balance sheet. Liability side first because all are full. 15 lakhs plus 6 lakhs. 21 lakhs is the total of balance sheet. And it should be equal here also, right? Should be. Then only it is balance sheet. So naturally what will be fixed assets? Fixed assets will be how much? 4 lakhs was the current assets. 21 lakhs is the total of balance sheets. Naturally fixed assets will be 17 lakhs. That is the balancing figure. That concludes the balance sheet. We have all the data that is required here. That's easily checked here also. 17 lakhs, 150, 2 lakhs and 50,000. Total of the balance sheet is 21 lakhs. Then share capital 10.5, reserves and surplus 4.5 lakhs. 4 lakhs debentures, payables 2 lakhs. Total once again is 21 lakhs. Once again, showing the working notes carefully, detailed manner elaborately is very, very important. That was question number 4. Now moving on to question number 5. Here also, prepare the balance sheet is what is asked. But look at the requirements here. Only point is, in this case, assets are on the left side, liabilities, equity and liabilities are on the right side. It's okay. There is no hard and fast rule. There is no law that they have to be on right side or left side. Different countries follow different things, and mostly legal presentation of balance sheet is altogether different from this format. So don't worry too much about the format. Whatever format is given, you just follow that. If nothing is given, you follow your own format, which is a normal asset side and equity and liability side. That's okay. That is a normal format that anyway we follow. But if a different format is given, use that. What is our problem with that? Don't question the question. Why is it like that? How can it be like that? All these things will not have any answers. That is none of our business. Our job is to answer the question, not to question the question. So here, information is given. Long-term debt to net worth, that is given. Total asset turnover 2.5x means times. That means times. Average collection period is given. Inventory turnover is given 9 times. Gross profit margin 10%. Acid test ratio is 1:1. Acid test ratio means quick ratio. And for ambiguity to be removed, 360 days a year has to be taken. All sales are on the credit. See, unless even though these are not given, better to take that as a common assumption. If nothing is mentioned, all sales are generally assumed to be on credit. Generally take 360 days. That makes the computations easier. But where are the amounts? Amounts are not here. Amounts are in the balance sheet. All ratios are only given. So look at the balance sheet. In this case, what is given? Notes and payables is 1 lakh, which is current liabilities simply. Long-term debt is not given. We don't know. This we have to find out. Common stock and retained earnings both are given. There's no problem. When both are given, that means this itself is what? Common stock plus retained earnings is what? Net worth, right? That is net worth. Net worth is how much then? 2 lakhs. So we can start breaking the data. When long-term debt to net worth is 0.5, long-term debt to net worth is 0.5 for convenience divided by 1. How much will be long-term debt? Naturally, net worth multiplied with 0.5. Net worth we know how much? 2 lakhs. Multiplied with 0.5 means half of that. That means 1 lakh is the long-term debt. So we have this data now. Long-term debt is 1 lakh. What else we want on the equity and liability side? Nothing. We have everything. 1, 1, 1, 1. All 1, 1, 1, 1. Total 4 lakhs is the total of this side. Naturally, 4 lakhs will be the total of other side also. Total we know. But separate, we have to know various things now. One by one, we should know that. Anyway, for that, we have other types of data that is given. Next thing is total asset turnover ratio is given 2.5 times. We should know the formula. So total asset turnover ratio is sales divided by total assets. That is equal to how much? Total asset turnover ratio 2.5 times. 2.5 by 1. Sales will be how much? Cross multiply. Total assets multiplied with 2.5. Total assets we already know because total assets is equal to total of equity and liability side. That is 4 lakhs. So 4 lakhs multiplied with 2.5 will be automatically 10 lakhs. What is this? Sales. Is it useful for our balance sheet? Directly no. But it is useful later. Other things we can see. There we can even take gross profit margin 10%. Automatically gross profit will be 1 lakh. Automatically cost of goods sold will be 9 lakhs. Why this will be useful for us? To find out inventory, because inventory turnover ratio given as 9 times. What is inventory turnover ratio? Cost of goods sold by average stock. Average and all we cannot take, so just stock, since average is not possible. So cost of goods sold by stock is equal to 9, right? That is inventory turnover ratio. How much is stock? Simply Cost of goods sold divided by 9. Cost of goods sold, since it is 9 lakhs, stock will be 1 lakh. We have broken one of the data, inventory 1 lakh, clear. Then what else we can take? Collection period can be taken for finding out debtors. That is possible. Collection period 18 days means, first of all, what is the formula for the debt collection period? 360 divided by debtors turnover ratio, that is equal to 18. That means debtors turnover ratio is equal to how much? 360 divided by 18. So 360 divided by 18 is 20 times. First we have to break this. Then we have to go to debtors turnover ratio formula. What is debtors turnover ratio formula? Net credit sales divided by average debtors. Again, we don't know average debtors, so we just take debtors here. That is equal to 20. Then debtors will be how much? Net credit sales divided by 20. Here there are no credit sales, cash sales. All sales are assumed to be on credit. So sales we know. Sales how much? 10 lakhs. All are on credit. So 10 lakhs divided by 20 is debtors. So how much will that be? 10 lakhs divided by 20 means 50,000 is receivables. That is debtors. So we have another amount also here, 50,000. Then we need cash, but we cannot directly get that. We have to again compute it. How? For that purpose, there is acid test ratio given. Acid test ratio means what? Quick assets divided by current liabilities. That is equal to what here? 1:1 means 1. So how much will be quick assets? Exactly equal to current liabilities. How much are current liabilities? 1 lakh. There are no other current liabilities. That is just 1 lakh. So quick assets are equal to 1 lakh. What will be called as quick assets? Cash plus accounts receivables is quick assets other than inventory. These two are quick assets. Inventory is not part of quick assets. So how much will be cash naturally? 50,000. Done. Since quick assets are 1 lakh, accounts receivables already we know 50,000. Remaining is cash. That is 50,000. Then what is the big deal? Naturally the balancing figure will be plant and equipment. That will be 2 lakhs. That's all. All figures required in balance sheet are filled up. 50,000, 50,000. 1 lakh, 2 lakhs. That is on the assets side. 50-50, 1 lakh, 2 lakhs. On the equity and liability side, actually already 3 things are given already. Only one thing is there. That also we found out as same amount, 1 lakh, 1 lakh, 1 lakh, 1 lakh, all 1 lakh on the equity and liability side. That was question number 5. Now, moving on to question number 6. The following information has been provided from the books of Lakshmi Private Limited for the year ending 31st March 2020. Net working capital is 4,80,000. Once again, net working capital means current assets minus current liabilities is equal to 4,80,000. Then bank overdraft is 80,000. Fixed assets to proprietary ratio. Again, proprietary ratio is different. Here what is mentioned as fixed assets to proprietary funds, that means. Fixed assets to proprietary funds ratio, we have to understand it as. That is 0.75. That means fixed assets divided by shareholders funds or proprietors funds is equal to 0.75. That is given. Bank overdraft is an amount that is already given, 80,000. Reserves and surplus is 3,20,000. Current ratio is 2.5. Liquid ratio is 1.5. You are required to prepare a summarized balance sheet assuming that there is no long-term debt. What is the format of balance sheet? It is not mentioned, so we can prepare it as much elaborate as possible. So here, first of all, when current assets, current liabilities related data is given in the form of net working capital and current ratio is given, simply we can use these two things to break, first of all, how much will be current assets and how much will be current liabilities. Current assets divided by current liabilities is equal to 2.5. That's what is called current ratio. In other words, current assets is equal to 2.5 times of current liabilities, isn't it? That is the same thing. Now if you substitute it here in the original thing which is already given, instead of current assets you call it 2.5 current liabilities minus of current liabilities is equal to 4,80,000. In other words, 1.5 current liabilities is equal to 4,80,000. So current liabilities will be 480 divided by 1.5, that is 3,20,000. So we have got current liabilities. One thing we got. What will be current liabilities? Generally payables, nothing else. No long-term debt, nothing else is there anyway. Even current liabilities also. Here bank overdraft is there, correct. Bank overdraft 80,000. So remaining in this 3,80,000, if 80,000 is bank overdraft, that is a current liability. Naturally, how much will be the remaining? That will be creditors, 2,40,000. We call that payables, no problem. So one item on the balance sheet, we got it in detailed manner. Now, quick ratio is given, liquid ratio, that is 1.5. So what is quick ratio? Quick assets divided by current liabilities, that is equal to 1.5. Quick assets is equal to 1.5 times of current liabilities. Since we know current liabilities 3,20,000 already. So how much will be quick assets? 1.5 times of 3,20,000. 4,80,000 is going to be what? Quick assets. And how much will be current assets? That also can be easily found. How do we know that? Because current assets are 2.5 times of current liabilities. Current liabilities now we came to know 3,20,000. So 3,20,000 into 2.5, the current assets are going to be 8 lakhs. So quick assets are 4,80,000, current assets are 8 lakhs. What does it mean? Once again, it means the remaining balance. What is the difference between quick assets and current assets? Simply that is inventories. So inventories is how much? 3,20,000. So the difference between quick assets and current assets, inventories is 3,20,000. That's what we can conclude there. Anyway, that is one thing we have. So if at all, after leaving some space for workings, actually in these type of questions where the balance sheet is format given or not given, it is better to start your answer with this balance sheet format, and whenever you know the data, you just better fill it up. You better fill that up. So now what we know is inventories and current liabilities. Liabilities side we know bank overdraft, that is one thing that we know clearly, which is 80,000, and payables, or you can call them as other current liabilities, no problem. That was calculated to be 2,40,000. Then on the asset side, we have stock, inventories, inventories how much? 3,20,000. That we know. Other current assets consist of cash and receivables, but we don't have any mechanism how we can find out cash separately or receivables separately, because no other data is given related to receivables. If something like sales data or debtors turnover ratio or debtors velocity, anything else is given like that, then it would have been easier to find out those two details. Since we don't have, we can just call them as other current assets. Other current assets other than inventories are how much? That we have already found out as quick assets, that is 4,80,000. Other current assets is quick assets, 4,80,000. So 4,80,000 plus 3,20,000, total of current assets is 8 lakhs, minus 3,20,000 total of current liabilities. Working capital was 4,80,000. Once again, that's what was given. So asset side some things and liability side some things are known now. But still, there is something that is missing very, very clearly. For that purpose, you should definitely know the total balance sheet format. What are all missing here? Clearly mentioned, no long-term debt. So don't worry about non-current liabilities. What else is remaining is going to be only proprietors' funds or shareholders' funds. How much ever they are, we don't know them. Of course, that will have to be further classified into capital, that is share capital, and reserves and surplus. Reserves and surplus, we know that is 3,20,000. How much is share capital? That we don't know. On the other side of asset side, fixed assets, how much? That also we don't know. So main point here is, the equation wise, if you go back and understand, fixed assets plus current assets should be equal to normally shareholders funds, which is proprietors funds, plus non-current liabilities plus current liabilities. Since in this case there are no non-current liabilities, forget about it. Fixed assets, how much we don't know, but current assets total, how much we know, that is 8 lakhs. That is equal to shareholders funds total, how much we don't know, but current liabilities, how much we know, that is 3,20,000. So one way we can even say the shareholders funds on one side is equal to fixed assets plus working capital, that is capital employed. Fixed assets plus 4,80,000 has to be the shareholders funds. That is the total of it. Okay. But it is given in the question, what is the relationship between these two? So all that we need to do is, we just need to build that relationship. What is the relationship given? Fixed assets divided by shareholders funds, that is proprietors funds, that is given as 0.75. So the relationship is like this: fixed assets divided by shareholders funds or proprietors funds is 0.75. Then fixed assets is supposed to be 0.75 shareholders funds, right? Fixed assets is supposed to be 0.75 shareholders funds. Substitute shareholders funds is equal to fixed assets place, you substitute 0.75 shareholders funds plus 4,80,000. Take this 0.75 shareholders funds to other side, it will be 0.25 shareholders funds, that is equal to 4,80,000. Then shareholders funds is going to be how much? Naturally 480 divided by 0.25, that is 4 times of it. 480 divided by 0.25, that is 19,20,000 is the shareholders funds. Within that 19,20,000, already 3,20,000 is reserves and surplus. Naturally, how much will be share capital? 16 lakhs. That's it. We have got total of share capital and reserves and surplus 19,20,000. Separately, share capital will be 16 lakhs. Naturally, on the other side, fixed assets we know 0.75 times of shareholders funds, that is 14,40,000. Fill that here. And if we total the balance sheet, of course it should tally, because we have taken balancing figures from that only by taking the relationship between them. So 16 lakhs share capital, 3,20,000 reserves and surplus as given in the question, 80,000 bank overdraft as given in the question, 240,000 payables as we calculated, 22,40,000 is the total of balance sheet. It should be same on the other side also. 14,40,000 plus 320 plus 480, 22,40,000 is the total of balance sheet on both sides. Of course, it should match and you should calculate these things carefully. What is the answer here? Let us check the final figure. It's question number 6, right? Yeah. All workings have to be shown. All workings have to be shown. Final answer is this same. Fixed assets 14,40,000. Stock 3,20,000. Since we cannot distinguish the other current assets into cash and receivables, we have to just write it as it is, no option. So total is 22,40,000. Same way, share capital 16 lakhs, reserves and surplus 320, bank overdraft is 80, and payables or other current liabilities you can call them, or creditors you can call them, that is 2,40,000. Total is 22,40,000. That is another way of asking questions, and very, very popularly asked 5 marks question will be generally like this. Not necessarily in the same way. formulae, whatever ratios are given, those will be completely different. What is asked could be completely different. But the model of operating, as I told earlier, can be broadly three categories. One, there is financial statements, and then from those financial statements, you have to find out ratios. That's what we did in the earlier session. Second, what we are doing now, ratios are given. You have to prepare financial statements, generally balance sheet, sometimes both P&L and balance sheet. Both of them we have done in the current session. Sometimes only balance sheet will be given. And sometimes information will be given. Financial statements or information or ratios, both will be given. You may have to find out some more information and some more ratios as well as prepare balance sheet. So a mix of all these things also is quite possible. Usually these are the two categories, and a Khichdi model of both of them can also be asked. It was asked such kind of questions earlier. These are some of the questions for problem solving in ratio analysis. We'll conclude today's session here, and we have a couple of more problems in the ICA material. Anyway, we will solve them in the next session, and in addition to that, we will solve some more problems also, so that we can practice more questions on problem solving in this chapter of ratio analysis. That discussion will continue in the next session. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Thank you very much.